What up, y'all? So I want to do a game review of Mass Effect 2. And granted, I'm probably going to be very biased on this one because this is probably one of my favorite games of all time. So, I mean, you could either take it with a grain of salt or maybe you agree with me. But honestly, I loved playing this game. This was the first game I played for Mass Effect 2, so maybe that's what kind of sneered me off of Mass Effect first off. But when I played Mass Effect 2, the parts I loved about it still, like in the first one, I loved the open space. And like how I mentioned, the one benefit that they really improved in the second one was you were allowed to control your ship and fly around in different constellations looking. I like the upgraded environment of being able to use probes for materials, not having to do the monotonous driving around in a big old square of a map that looks the same, just a little bit different colored terrain. So I like the upgraded version they did to that. I like the fact too they added in where you could upgrade your ship for mostly everything for the final mission, and if you don't upgrade it, you wind up with issues at the end going into the final mission, which I didn't really ever know about because I never tried not to 100% run it. But when I found out, I tried doing it once, and it's interesting because you have people who just end up dying from it, and it changes the whole element of 1, 2, and 3 when you do it that way versus original run-throughs. And then the storyline I also really liked. I liked the idea of the collectors because they were highly intimidating. They were highly advanced. And then I also did like the touch where they brought Cerberus into it, and you got to kind of see a behind the scenes look of Cerberus through your revival as Shepard, which I thought was also a good touch because it showed the aspect of why people didn't like Cerberus, and you could kind of tell between it, they were a high dictator at all cost for humanity kind of thing, where they'll bury anyone else that tried to even learn anything from it, and they had no problems even screwing over other human societies to do it. So it kind of even showed with them being kind of their cryptic, crappy designed selves, which kind of fit into how Mass Effect 3 went as well. So they did a good job of going from 1 to 2 and then taking it into 3. And then again, all the companions, they were all like really good. None of them were, to me, that came off hella irritating or annoying. They all had backstories naturally, which were all cool. And then it was cool too that they added in the whole backstories for your allies, where if you didn't do those, they'll die on the last mission with Attack of the Collector base. So I did like that touch of it, where it was like if you didn't do right by them, then they're gonna die. So it did extend the game, but it also added a lot more story into it, which I also did like, because ultimately me playing an open world sci-fi space shooter game, hell, I loved it. And then even the Attack on the Collector base, I like the design of that, with how they put it, where you could separate teams. You had them all kind of there interacting with each other, like over different points. Like, I really did like how they did that whole sequence of it. And then even the ending, leaving the choice of either destroying the base or letting the Cerberus guys be able to research on it and all that. And that also played into a different line of deal for how number 3 went with the Cerberus group, which was also a good touch. It didn't like severely change it much, but it did give it a little bit. And depending on the choice you do, also gave you fleet credits at different points as well. But ultimately, all in all, I'd probably give the game 9 out of 10. I would give it 10 out of 10, but I've never been prone really to ever give anything 10 out of 10 because there's always little details that could have been better. And I mean, one of the details is Mass Effect 2's graphics weren't as crisp and as sharp as the original Mass Effect or Mass Effect 3. It was kind of more to the B-rated graphic, but the gameplay itself was way better. But ultimately, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Very enjoyable game to play, and if you haven't played the full series, I definitely would start playing. I'd definitely go full series, and you could do different run-throughs, different skills. Like, there's a lot of replay value in that game, and I love games that you could have days upon days of replayed value versus one where it's one way and then after you play it you know everything and then that's it. But that's what I think of the game. Let me know what y'all think and have a great day. Later.